According to the Cambridge English Dictionary, trauma researchers emphasize the resilience of the human psyche. Resilience meaning the ability to be happy, healthy, or successful again after something difficult or bad has happened, or the ability of a substance to return to its usual shape after being bent, stretched, or pressed. Welcome to the Arose from Rubble podcast, where there's no good, bad, right or wrong opinion, and no discussion is off limits. Arose from Rubble is primarily about resilience in the absence of perfection, the knowledge we gain and apply on our journey to self-actualization, physically, mentally, and most importantly, spiritually. Join and explore with me as we journey toward our higher selves. We'll explore spirituality, occult knowledge, practical metaphysics, universal law, self-actualization, relationships, life, and love. And I'm your host, Arose. Greetings, gods and goddesses. Welcome to the Arose from Rubble podcast. I'm your host, Arose. Thank you guys for taking time out to listen. Today's topic is word magic. Per usual, I want to start out by defining the word. Word as a noun is defined as speech, talk, utterance, sentence, statement, news, report. Word. Next, I'm going to define the word magic. And this is cited from the early or late 1400s. Magic, the art of influencing or predicting events and producing marvels using hidden natural forces. Also, supernatural art, especially the art of controlling the actions of spiritual or superhuman beings. I want to start out by pointing out the importance of us to understand how words create life and death within our lives, as well as in the life that we perceive. On average, children learn to speak between the ages of 14 months to 24 months. Ever since, we've been using words. Never are we taught the power that words carry. Words are not just about how we speak and how we write. Just like everything else, words are energy, frequency, and vibrations. Words are a vital aspect of our communication, and more than anything, words can be used to harvest our energy. The English language is made up of words because we are easily manipulated by words when we are unaware of their magical powers. In order for us to briefly understand how the English language is deceptive, I want to talk about some things that I think that we know. For instance, the word nice. Etymologically speaking, the word nice means foolish, ignorant, frivolous, senseless, and from the old French meaning careless or clumsy, weak, poor, needy, simple, stupid, silly, foolish. From the Latin word, nice means ignorant or unaware, literally, not knowing. I want us to ponder for a minute our language and how it is important for us to begin, if we are presently unwitting, to be mindful of the words that we use toward ourselves as well as toward one another. When we think about speaking in our communications, I want to start by talking about the education system, which is where we derive our understanding of what these words mean. And when we think about the source of that education, or should I say indoctrination, that must be considered in deciphering the words we are using and the effects that they have on our lives unwittingly. I want to also define the word education. And the noun of education is defined as the act or process of imparting or acquiring general knowledge, developing the powers of reasoning and judgment, and generally of preparing oneself or others intellectually for mature life. And the second definition says the act or process of imparting or acquiring particular knowledge or skills as for a profession. We are also going to define the word knowledge. Knowledge as a noun is defined as acquaintance with facts, truths, or principles, as for study or investigation, general erudition, knowledge of many things. The second definition is familiarity as with a particular subject or branch of learning. Next, we'll define wisdom. The quality or state of being wise, knowledge of what is true or right, coupled with just judgment as to action, discernment or insight. The second definition for wisdom is defined as scholarly knowledge or learning. And to close this thought, I would like to define consciousness. Consciousness is defined as the quality or state of being aware, especially of something within oneself. The state or fact of being conscious of an external object, state, or fact. I would like for us to consider in our minds, based on our level of indoctrination, how we assume that if one is educated, one is conscious. And as defined, those are separate things. It also must be said that knowledge and wisdom, consciousness, and education are all separate things. And I'm saying that to say that when I was growing up, my grandmother taught me the importance of going to school by expressing how imperative it was for me to be educated. And what I've since discovered through conscious awareness is that education in a lot of ways is equivalent to indoctrination. I'm not saying what I'm saying in order to offend anyone who is educated. However, I'm offering a different perspective to the collective as to how we perceive those that are educated. And when we think about society and how the gatekeepers are educated, and the system has been used to educate us away from inclusion. Within our society, those that are educated, well, it's been my experience that people that are educated presume themselves to be of the higher echelon or to be more aware than those people that are not educated. And I'm saying all that to say, and the reason that I define these words as a group is because it's important to make these distinctions for ourselves, because you have a lot of us that doubt ourselves based on a lack of education. And I think that nothing can be further from the truth. Just as a lot of things are far from the truth within these systems that have indoctrinated us. This show is important because the whole goal of this podcast is self-actualization and consciousness and conscious awareness of oneself. So for anybody that is doubting their natural capabilities based on this system that has indoctrinated us, have no fear. Second, Know thyself, because you are important. These words that we use so regularly, so fluently, so unwittingly have poisoned us, and it's a part of the system. It's vital that we make this distinction and we become aware and mindful of the words that we use toward ourselves and others. I use etymology because of the system. Etymology is defined as the facts of the origin and development of a word. Greek etymologia, analysis of a word, is to find its true origin, the study of the true sense of a word, true, real, actual, related to ethos, true, which perhaps is cognate. So we use etymology as much as possible because all words are not able to be found using etymology. So I do my best to use etymology or the Webster's Unabridged, because those are earliest versions of words, that the words that we use. And because we are within a system, and the system is manipulated, and it's manipulated to keep us under control, it's important to find out the original uses and meanings of these words so we are not further indoctrinated. Now, if anybody's interested, I do have a PDF where you could begin your study of actual word magic, and you can email me if you would like for me to send you a PDF, and you can get started. But I want to talk about some words that we just use regularly and how important it is for us to realize that word meanings are hidden within other words. For instance, when we think about the government and we use our common sense and we realize to govern something means to control it. And ment is short for mental. Government. Control your mental. And once you begin this journey, you'll be able to make those distinctions for yourself within the words that we use, or the words that you use, which is very important for us to make those distinctions for ourselves. When we think about the word beautiful, we naturally think that beautiful means you are admiring a person or their beauty, the way that they look, their physicality. The word beautiful can be broken down to beautiful, be you to the fullest. And it's important because even in the Bible it says that life and death is in the power of the tongue. And that's because these entities, or the powers that be that control and use this word magic, they have to tell you what they are doing. We have free will. So it's more about convincing you to work against yourself. That's why saying nothing is still saying something. Because when you acquiesce, you relinquish your right to govern yourself, which is why we are becoming consciously aware. And let's think about other words that we use. When we think about television, what does television do? It tells lies to our vision. When we think about, I know when my grandmother, when I used to come in the house, before we had remote controls, that I'm from that time. Before we had remote controls, my grandmother would call me to come in the room to turn the TV to her program. Because that's what it's doing. It's telling lies to your vision to program you. And I'm not separate from you. So I mean us. That's what it has done. That's what it did, because I'm now controlling the menu. The reason we are having this conversation is because if you are not doing the same, so that you can function from this place of awareness as well. But let's think about other words. Spelling. What is a spell? Who casts spells? And what does it mean to cast? is to throw out. I don't have the dictionary definition or etymology in front of me. I'm just saying things off the top, but just think about that. So things become second nature before we say them, and it's a process. So you have to be patient with yourself, and I still have to be patient with myself. But when we think about our understanding, even think about understanding, you're standing under. So that means something is over you. So do we want to stand under, or do we want to overstand? Or to take it a step further, do we want to understand? That's why it's important for us to think about these words and how we are using them and how it's been designed to work against us. Remember, words are energy, frequency, and vibration. And we have been manipulated to no end because we say things on a daily basis that are counterproductive to everything that we say we want to do, be, and have. So it's vital that we make these distinctions. Now, I would like to share for my melanated family, because you know what they say about us. If you want to hide something, since we niggas, if you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in a book. Because they don't expect for us to read. And once that's in your subconscious mind, that's not something that you do. It's so powerful, these words, y'all. I can't express it enough. I want to define the word black, since us melanated people consider ourselves black. Black in Old English is defined as absolutely dark, absorbing all light of color, of soot or coal, burned, dark, to burn, gleam, shine, or flash, to scorch. In Middle English, Blake means, which is synonymous with black, pale, bright, shining, glittering, pale. The connecting notions being perhaps fire and burned, or perhaps absence of color. Black means absence of color. Melanated people being the most diverse in hue, why are we defining ourselves as black when black means the absence of color? It is often, I'm back to the definition now, it is often doubtful whether black, Blake means black, dark, or pale, colorless. The surname Blakon means either one of pale complexion or one of dark complexion. Also says fierce, terrible, wicked. And this is from the late 14th century. The figurative senses often come from the notion of without light, moral or spiritual. So what are we saying about ourselves morally or spiritually when we classify ourselves as black, which means the absence of color? I'm going back to the definition. It says the metaphoric use of the Greek word melos, however, tended to reflect the notion of shrouded in darkness, overcast. This is how we are defining ourselves. Within the quote-unquote conscious community, it's been said that the Black's Law Dictionary, black it means dead in the eyes of the law. And that is not true. It's not in the Black's Law Dictionary that black means dead in the eyes of the law. However, we just define black. And black means without light, morally or spiritually. It means the absence of color. So I ask again, why are we defining ourselves as the absence of color when we are the most colorful group of beings on the planet? I would be remiss not to talk about civiliter mortuus, which means civilly dead, dead in the view of the law. the condition of one who has lost his civil rights and capacities and is accounted dead in law. This is why it is inferred that black means dead in the eyes of the law. Because how often, or what do you consider it when melanated people are shot down like dogs in the street? When the justice system eradicates your civil rights. What is that? If that's not civ liter mortus, I don't know what is. But once you learn word magic, you can define that for yourself. I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm here offering this information so you can think and use it for yourself. It's time. That old cliche, you want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. That is not defining melanated people. That's for ignorant people, which is what a nigga is, an ignorant person, which could be of any hue. So we not gonna take that. The point in this episode was to get us to consider the words that we use to define ourselves, to define each other, and the words that we need to adopt, and the awareness that we need to use moving forward on our journeys towards self-actualization, so we can break these spells that we've been casting upon ourselves using these words that we have been indoctrinated to believe as our truths. Words are magic. Words are energy, frequency, and vibration, just as everything else is on this planet. And when we get into energy, frequency, and vibration, which is coming up next, we'll see how the magic of these words have infected us. And I want to close out this episode with a quote by Harry B. Joseph, who is the author of the Book of Wisdom. He says, when humanity masters the skill of deciphering symbols and uncovering the authentic meaning behind words and terms, we will begin to penetrate the veil that has obscured the understanding of the masses for decades. The veil is being lifted, and it's over. It's over with for them. But we have to control our energy, our frequency, and our vibrations so we can change this collective experience. And we do that by having these conversations and continuing to penetrate the veil. I love you guys. And don't forget, if you want a copy of the book to begin your journey in deciphering word magic, just email me or contact me however you know how, and I will send it to you as soon as possible. So thank you guys again for listening. I love you, and have an amazing week. Thanks for listening to the Arose from Rubble podcast. As a disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist, counselor, psychologist, or psychiatrist. I'm a student of metaphysics and occult knowledge who is bona fide in life, relationship, and self-actualization. If you would like your questions addressed live or in private, or perhaps you or someone you know would like to be a guest on the show, feel free to email me at dia@arosefromrubble.com. That's DEA@arosefromrubble.com. Also, subscribe on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and Instagram at Arose from Rubble. And again, thanks for listening. That's it.